Guys, today I'm going to share a story with you known only as the Meatball Story. So, throughout history, Italian Americans have cooked pasta every Sunday. 99% of Italian Americans, mothers, matrons of the house, cook a full dinner on Sunday with all the everything you can think of: stromboli, baked ziti, meatballs, gabagool, carbonara. Anything that sounds Italian is included in the feast. My family, we came from poverty, very, very poor family, single mother, raising 3 kids. 3, that's right. And we were just we had basically nothing. We had no air conditioner, we had a hole in the ceiling, we had like no basement because my mom's a hoarder, and over half of the basement was filled with nothing but crap that could never be moved or she would have a heart attack. And so we had one thing only, and that was the washing machine. That was our only big amenity. Our pool was destroyed, the whole entire backyard was just a wreck. It had the potential to be a good home, but we didn't have the money or the sanity for the upkeep combined throughout all of us. So it was just my mom, and like I said, she made the pasta every Sunday, so big a pasta that it would go over until several days after. Because we were poor, this helped a lot actually, because we would be able to have pasta on Sunday with the big sauce, everything, meatballs, everything included. And you could just, this was before I became vegetarian, and before my sister became a vegan, and the other sister still eats meat. Anyway, we would have this sauce and this whole pasta throughout the whole week for many days, and we would live off of it. And it was great because my mom was an amazing cook, and that was one thing she was incredibly proud of herself, because she was a damn good cook. She could cook the shit out of pasta and meatballs. So even with the little fresh mozzarella balls in it, oof, very good. So this was my favorite thing too. I loved it so much. Now, the problem was that the washing machine, okay? Picture this. I'm a kid, 16 years old, and I need to wash my clothes. My mom was in a really bad mood because she had a lot going on. I believe it was Monday, because there had already been meatballs in the fridge. Like I said, once we finished the Sunday dinner, it would roll over into the following days, and we would just feast on that every single dinner. So it was probably Monday. Meatballs were in the fridge. My mom was in the kitchen doing something. I don't know what. Maybe, I don't know. Doesn't matter. I had to go do my laundry, and this was the first time I was doing laundry by myself. I was 16 years old. To this day, I don't understand why laundry machines are labeled hot, cold. What is hot, cold? That's the biggest contradiction I've ever heard. Warm, cold, warm, cold. Cold, it just doesn't make sense. And I still don't understand why they're not just like lights, darks, whites. Why it's not just, I know some do that, but that should be the standard. Let's get that out of the way first. So take some of the blame off of me, because that's how it should be, in fairness. Now, I was, again, 16, and I put my clothes in there. I believe they were whites. And as the cycle started, I realized I had it on cold, which you're not supposed to put whites in. They're supposed to be in hot, or warm, hot, or some shit. And so, like, as the cycle was starting, I panicked and I slammed the button to stop it, and all hell broke loose. The whole machine started shaking, everything went to hell, and I started freaking the hell out. My mom, like I said, was already in a bad mood over something upstairs, and so I called up to her. I said, "Mom," and she said, "What?" And I said, "I think the washing machine's broken." Now again, this was our one amenity. It was the one thing we had separating us from complete poverty level. We had a washing machine, and she was furious. All of a sudden, I just hear coming down the stairs, and I just start flipping the fuck out, because I was a very nervous kid. I have panic disorder. I had not had panic attacks yet at the time, regularly every night like I do now, or did, and now, well, I'm doing a little bit better. But anyway, this would be the start of it, all this moment. So I start really freaking out as I hear those footsteps, the banging. My mom could be really scary when she chooses to be. And so she comes down and says, "What did you do?" And I said, I don't know. I swear to God, I put my clothes in and I realized I made a mistake. So I stopped it real quick so that I could fix it because I didn't want to break anything by putting the clothes on the wrong setting. And she says, "What the fuck did you do?" And I said, no, you gotta understand, I don't know. And she said, "Get the fuck out of here." So I run upstairs while she tries to fix the washing machine. The washing machine is probably broken. I don't think it's redeemable in any way, because it's like there's water flowing out of it. Like I said, it's shaking the hell around. Things are just not going well. I don't know how that much damage was done from stopping the cycle. That probably shouldn't happen, right? But it probably wasn't a very good washing machine. So I go upstairs. I like to sing a bit. I go upstairs to the kitchen, and I very nervously go to get some water out of the fridge. I open the fridge, and out came raining atop me meatballs. She had the entire sauce with all the meatballs left over in it in a big ass tub on the top shelf of the fridge, as always. And as soon as I opened it up, of course, my luck, every single meatball just comes down on me and down onto the floor. It looked like a massacre had happened there. There was sauce everywhere, strewn about the floor. It was just an awful sight. And now my mom is already freaking the fuck out because I broke the washing machine. We don't have the money to fix it or get a new one. And I just flipped the fuck out. I have no idea what to do, but I have to tell her somehow or else I can't continue to live. So I say, "Mom," and she says, "What now?" And I said, "I spilled the meatballs." And then I just start hearing louder than ever, about 3 times louder than the initial shock. And my heart is racing, my head is just everywhere, I don't know what the fuck to do. She comes in and she just sees me standing there covered in meatball sauce, with sauce everywhere, meatballs just thrown about every which way on the floor, on our white tile floor, so it just looks hilarious in retrospect, but at the time was probably the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And she says, "What the fuck did you do?" And I said, "Mom, I swear to God, I know I messed up with the washing machine, but this I didn't do. This, I just opened the drawer. As soon as I opened the goddamn fridge, they came raining down. There was nothing I could have done. The same exact thing would have happened to you." She said, "What the fuck did you do?" And I said, no, you gotta understand, I didn't do this. You left them on the top of the fridge. They must have been a little bit shaky, and as soon as it was opened, they just fell. There was nothing that could have prevented it. She was not hearing any of it. She stepped to me, and I had this one thing. I'll let people push me around all my life. I've let them, I don't give a shit. But one thing I don't like is when somebody touches my face or gets really up in my face, to the point where they're like really close. And she stomped over to me and she grabbed my face and she says, "You son of a bitch." And I snapped at that moment. I batted her hand back and I backed up for a second and I said, "You know what? Ha, ha, ha. I wanted the meatballs to fall." She says, "You what?" I said, "I wanted them to fall. I did it on purpose. I opened the fridge and I knocked the meatballs over. Ha, ha, ha." She says, "You fucking what?" And I'm not freaking out anymore. I've reached some sort of tranquility in this madness that I developed, where I just became some sort of like Joker-like character, and I just kept laughing at her and saying, "The meatballs are gone. You have no food to eat now." And she just flipped the fuck out. She said, "Get out of this house." So I said, "Gladly," and I went upstairs. I grabbed my bag. I get all the clothes into it, all the clothes that hadn't been washed, and I bring it down. I leave the house, and I'm now an outcast. I call up my best friend at the time, who shall not be named, is the only thing I'll refer to him as, but there's about an 8-year gap between us. There's a big age difference. This is important to the context of the story. So I get that done. He comes and picks me up from my sister's. I go to my sister's work. She was working at an ice cream shop at the time, so I go there and wait for my friend. He comes and picks me up and drives me over to his place in New Jersey. So I'm staying there for the day, and I'm content to just stay there forever, because at this point I'm dead if I ever show my face again. And I was, I was fed up with my mom over the whole situation and the fact that she touched my face in the first place, which, a lot of kids I do understand get a lot worse, but I don't like when my face is touched. So I was staying there with him. We were playing Smash, just ignoring all of our problems, acting like everything was okay. And then my mom calls me, and I rejected. I rejected about 6 times. She just keeps calling. But she knows my friend's number, and she calls him, and she says, "Listen to me, you fuck. I'm calling the cops on you." And for a second we're like, what the fuck, she can't call the cops, what is she, crazy? I'm just at my friend's house. And then she notes, "You are 24 years old, my son is 16, he's a minor, and you kidnapped him." And I start freaking out, because I'm like, holy shit, what, there's no way this is true, right? And he turns to me and he says, "This is actually true. That it's technically kidnapping if I don't return you." And she's saying that you need to be home, because she can frame it that I'm holding you against her will. And we both are just freaking out. I don't know what the fuck to do. And finally he says, "Listen, I gotta take you home." Like, he says, "Is she really gonna call the cops?" I said, "She's really gonna call the cops. She's insane. So I have to go home." She would have absolutely called the cops. So he drives me back home, and I am just bracing myself for the worst. But then I had that moment again where I just snapped. And I said, "You know what? I don't need to be afraid of anything. I'm a strong boy. I can take this. I'll do whatever it takes to live and to not be intimidated to the point where I crack here." So I go into the house, and I notice my mom, she opens the door for me, but she doesn't really say anything, just kind of grimaces at me. And so I go through the living room where we were eating, because we eat in the living room. It's kind of like a shared dining room, living room situation. Anyway, it was the dining room, to be fair, and everyone was eating at the dining room, the rest of my family and my mom. She sits back down to eat while I start going through the dining room to go upstairs. Now, as I'm passing by, she makes sure to say nothing and doesn't offer me dinner or anything because of the situation. So I decide this is my time, this is my opportunity. I notice one crucial thing. One element was missing from the dinner. I see the sauce, the pasta, everything they're eating very nicely. And as I'm walking up the stairs, I stop for a second as my mom makes some sort of comment, and she is still giving me like the evil eyes. And I said, "What? No meatballs?" And that was the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.